Hello, everyone. Welcome. And it's great to see you for the people who were here last month. So don't hesitate to comment on the question section if you cannot hear me right now. So we're going to start our event today. So again, welcome everyone. My name is Flo. I'm the corporate innovation manager for the US branch of Choose Paris region. I'll be your host today for our tech meeting dedicated to the mobility revolution. So this session will be recorded, so please let me know if anyone would be against it. Great. So we're going to start with the agenda for today. So here is our agenda. So after a short introduction of what we do, I'll provide some key figures about the overall mobility industry. Then we will move to the fireside chat with our experts today, Stacy, Jen, and Marc, to discuss the industry and tomorrow's big trends of innovation. Then we will finish this event with a selection of innovative companies presenting their solutions and products. So we'll answer questions at the end of the fireside chat. So if you have any to our experts, feel free to use the question feature of Livestorm to ask your question. Okay. Great. All right. So let's jump into it with a short presentation of Choose Paris region and what we do. For some of you who don't know us, Choose Paris region is a catalyst for business and innovation. We partner with Fortune 500 corporations in order to support international companies willing to expand and set up business in the Paris region. So thanks to our presence and vibrant tech ecosystem located in San Francisco, New York, Beijing, Shanghai, and of course Paris, we are in touch with over 4,000 international companies every year. So this unique relationship with large corporations on one hand and with innovative, fast-growing companies on the other hand led us to create the Global Open Innovation Network about 5 years ago. So through this global program, we organize about 20 events a year to foster business and technology partnerships between large corporations and startups. Since the pandemic moved our event online, it allowed us to connect and get in touch with more people, more company. So it has been a pretty interesting experience, I would say. In terms of technologies and topics, we definitely cover an area of technologies, as you can see here. Mobility, of course, AI, retail, health, and topics such as retail, smart cities, etc., etc. So today we're going to talk about mobility. So first, I wanted to show you a brief overview of the mobility industry. It is composed of different actors from various industries, and of course they are well known. So it's Tesla, it's Uber, Ford, Bolt, etc., etc. Here are some key figures I wanted to share today. I wanted to stop on three main figures really quickly to set up the base of our discussion with the panel. First, the global mobility market was valued around $130 billion in 2020, based on a PwC report. Of course, mobility is composed of different concepts that are not counted here. So actually, we have many different numbers based on what we're counting. Something important as well is that by 2027, the market is expected to reach $227 billion. Last, the compound annual growth rates for the industry is expected to be around 20% from 2021 to 2027. And those industries, those trends where mobility is a prominent trend today, as we can see here, are, of course, electricity with cars and bikes, for example, mobility as a service, autonomous cars, and air mobility. to finish this brief overview of the mobility industry, I wanted to share this non-exhaustive map, market map. We designed it based on different players we have identified on the market. It's missing a few actors, of course, but it gives us a good understanding of what's happening these days. So I don't want to get into too much details. So if you're interested or have a question, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be glad to share with you or tell you how I built it. Great. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our 3 experts today for the Fireside chat. So Stacy, Marc, and Jen, if you can join me on stage, I'm going to send you a quick invite right now. Great. We're just going to. Great. Hi, Stacy. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, Flo. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well as well. Thank you. Great. So we're just going to wait on Marc and Jen. Okay, great. We have Genevieve. Hi, Genevieve. How you doing?
Hello. Good morning. Bon matin. Good afternoon.
Great. Perfect. And we have Marc. So everybody is here. So we're going to start. Thank you. Thank you again. Hey, thank you again for accepting my invitation and being with us today. I'm very excited to have you to discuss the different topics today. So first of all, and to give maybe some context to the audience, maybe you could present yourself, tell us a little bit about you, the organization you're representing, and your current projects or initiatives. So yes, Stacy, maybe you want to go first?
Sure. I live in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and I am passionate about the climate, about mobility and technology, and how they can all work together to solve the problems that we have ahead of us. I'm on the lookout for companies that are doing their best, and my goal is to push them harder than what they're currently doing. I've been very dismayed by the pace of change in the mobility sector, either or with the public acceptance of solutions that might be available. So anything that I can do to help everyone view change as not scary, to take lemons and make lemonade. That's what I'm all about, because we need to start moving in a lighter and safer fashion in this world. We accept too much in terms of what we've done to the climate and our ability for humans to continue living on it. I think we'll all be fine, but our children and grandchildren, it's going to be a very different world. And we saw a whole lot of that this summer. So we need to make those changes there. And then in terms of what we've sacrificed, the convenience of automotive has cost so many lives. In the US last year, it was 42,000 and 60 people died from motor vehicle accidents. We're on pace to surpass that this year. And that's not including the air pollution or noise pollution, or the injuries or property damage that comes from personal vehicle ownership. So trying to move towards autonomous, shared vehicles, transit, bikes, especially e-bikes, shared mobility, micromobility, wherever possible. That's what I'm all about. So that's a bit about me. And I look forward to the conversation.
Great. Thank you so much, Stacy. Jen, yeah, you want to go next?
Yes, absolutely. Bonjour. Hello, everyone. So Genevieve Comtois, but you do and can call me Jen. I'm actually talking to you from Montreal, Canada this morning and afternoon already. I've been in retail mobility pretty much my entire career with a super major energy company and touching all of the traditional business, sales, operations, fuels marketing, convenience retailing, pricing strategy, both in Canada and globally. But about 3 years, I was actually asked to figure out the electrons for the North America network. And you can only imagine, and Stacy kind of like alluded to the tension, right? How do you bring new business with, benefits that we are associating to it in a very traditional world that we've known for so long. So building a new business, I think many of the startups will echo, comes with a lot of grit, and you do touch everything. So collaborating with colleagues around the world, it was about being responsible of developing the strategy, the network planning, partnerships, business development, engineering, construction, procurement, operations, marketing. And here I am today, stepping away from it after building the foundations, still very passionate about the people, the business, and the energy transition, and just looking forward to how we can keep working together to scale things up, increase adoption of those new ways of moving, right, goods and people around the world, so we can reach all of those ambitions so that everyone can keep smiling and exchanging and dialoguing for many decades and centuries to come. So this is me, and perhaps too many words.
No, never. Thanks so much, Jen. Marc, yes?
Yeah, thank you, Florent. Thanks for having me. Hi, Jen. Good to reconnect. And Stacy, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Marc.
Haven't seen each other for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm like Stacy. I'm based in Silicon Valley. I've been here for about 5 years now. I'm originally from the automotive industry, automotive and rail industry, where I worked for 2 OEMs, one tier one supply, but also I spent 4 years when one of the major rail providers, rail equipment and service providers. My passion is mobility. I started as an automotive engineer, but my passion has turned to mobility at large, and that addresses some of the points that both Stacy and Genevieve touched upon, which are electrification towards clean mobility, autonomous driving, connectivity as well. So what can the industry bring to people, whether that's through shared mobility, through public transit, through all sorts of mobility services. Includes as well things like advanced aerial mobility. So I'm passionate for all these aspects of the way mobility is transforming. It's being transformed, and I'm working with corporate clients globally, as well with startups as an advisor and mentor with startups both in Silicon Valley and in Europe. So this is what this transformation is about. Is really putting the industry upside down, and I can see the questions that corporates are asking themselves for how they should reposition their operations, their people, their technology, their expertise, and this is exciting. So I look forward to this discussion.
Great, thank you so much, Marc. Great, so we can start. And so my first question, obviously, is it's about the news, the actuality, what happened the past few days and weeks with the COP26. I just wanted to have your vision, your opinion, and your input on what happened at the COP26 when it comes to mobility. Did you see anything engaging in anything that was like decided or discussed that was promising? Maybe.
No. No, I didn't. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I mean, it's if what they were saying, if this were 10 years ago, it would be fine. But we're past time, and so to see a draft of an accord that talks about the end of fossil fuels for energy and mobility, but has no end date, so no teeth, is completely disregarding the scale of the problem that we have in front of us. And we're at a stalemate where the governments won't change policy because they don't know, or they're afraid of upsetting the economy, or the corporate leaders who helped get them elected. And the corporate leaders won't change unless the policy starts going in the direction that we need, which is the elimination of fossil fuels altogether. And so it seems like we're at an impasse. And I realize that we have built a world largely around motor vehicles, but that there was no mention of the power of e-bikes because they have huge transformative properties for people. It's the most efficient form of transportation on Earth, and so I'm disappointed. That's my opinion.
Yeah, Jen, Marc, anything to report from this COP26?
Do you want to go, Marc?
Okay, I'll just give it a try. I mean, transportation and mobility as a whole represents, I think, 20-25% of total greenhouse gas emissions globally. So this is definitely a massive. This potentially can have a massive impact. Any progress can have a massive impact. Certainly, the glass is certainly not far from being. It's far from being full enough. I agree with Stacy. At the same time, I want to look at it from a positive standpoint. It certainly puts pressure on local governments. What happened here stateside with Washington D.C. trying to get things passed before COP26 being over. Some of the things that were passed through the 1.2 trillion dollar package, certainly it goes in the right direction. Definitely not enough. I fully agree. But at the same time, when we look at this again, back to electrification mobility, the US is far behind. We're at, I think, 2.4% full electric vehicle in the US at this point so far this year, whereas Europe is somewhere around 10%. China is just under that. So we are again pushing, going fast in the right direction. But there are a number of other fields where things are not moving fast enough, and definitely there's much more to do.
Okay.
And to round it up, right? It is such you see it from the external now, and you look at all of the things you've seen happening internally, and they're not necessarily being transposed externally, or we just keep doing. And for me, this is just a reconfirmation that one solution will not fit it all, right? We still need to put into parallel so many work streams to help bring the ambition together. I was disappointed not to see all stakeholders or potential partners at the table. I find it difficult to see those plans built when there's missing participants or participants staying silent. So for me, that will just bring it more difficult to get to this acceleration of bringing the commitments to actions. But I agree, right? It doesn't feel like it has advanced much, and there's no real tangible, real new news. I just really hope now that there has been this sense of urgency injected so that they go back and act and do, because in 5 years, we'll still be with the same now revision of numbers, right? So for me, that's the disappointment. We're not talking a lot about the actions or what would have been happening since Paris, right? And now, so yeah, I agree. It's been dialoguing. It's going to be putting numbers on a paper. The magic will be seeing it in action. And right now, it's very difficult to anticipate this activity happening in the pace that we need it to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So you all pretty much say that it's not enough. Where is it? Like you're talking about commitment, effort. We need to do more. When we say that, are we talking about like just like countries, like government, or is it like a whole, like companies and the whole industry? Like who needs to move right now to make it going?
Everyone. This is the hot potato. So one of the things that I do is I'm a co-moderator for a climate chat club on Clubhouse. And it was started by this guy. He's a VC he invests in climate tech. And he is he knows everybody, or he's not afraid to go ask all these amazing climate scientists to come in and talk to us. And this is the hot, and also about how to communicate about the climate crisis. And this is the eternal hot potato of, is it individuals that need to do it? Is it government that needs to do it? Is it companies that do it? It's everyone needs to do it. You can't say, oh, well, it's these seven D companies or something. They're responsible for all of it. We're the ones who consume the stuff that they make or drill or, whatever. We're all in this together. We cannot just say, oh, well, until those 70 companies get it straightened out, or until these world governments get it straightened out, I'm not going to do anything. No, we all need to do our part. And companies need to step forward and say they're going to do it, even if the governments aren't strong enough to put the things in place. I just keep thinking, do they have children? Do they actually think about the future, or is everything just about the next quarterly report and their shareholders? Because they seem to be the only ones who are continuing to win. I just dug up a video I did from the LA Auto Show 3 years ago, and how exhausted I was by the only electric car other than Tesla present was a Chevy Bolt. It was the only fully electric vehicle on the floor at the LA Auto Show in 2018. Anything that was even hybrid, Mercedes had them shoved behind a wall. You couldn't even see them out on the regular floor. And when they revamped the new models, they were doing ICE first. They were taking the hybrid out of the stuff they had already. That's why it was behind. So it's the only thing they had, but they were going to change the model the next year. And so they couldn't have it out with the others. It's absolutely embarrassing and frightening. And we all just keep doing the same things, individuals, countries, and companies. And someone needs to pull the handbrake really hard. And I just keep waiting for someone to do that magically.
Right.
I mean, if I may, it's interesting, right? And it turns like, and it is absolutely everyone, right? This is, it cannot go in silos. Like we've seen many things going in silos, and it just simply doesn't get the traction. I'm thinking a lot of those new technologies, right? Those from 2018, there were like, okay, lack of models, lack of choices for customers to feel like, okay, if they move away from the technology they currently have with the internal combustion engine, will they have the same feeling, joy of driving, reliability, and, feeling that they can be on the move regardless of the time of day? I think there's been a huge progressions, right? If you hear about the number of new EVs that will be announced or have been announced and be launched, I think this will help create this choice that customers do want to see, to move away from current to new EVs, for example. And then the investments are starting to come in play. I just look at the economic side of things. The cost to bring this package infrastructure of all work paths together, right, is so beyond what economically viable is to be in the short term, which kind of then creates some crisis, right? Economic crisis, energy crisis, and you feel people saying, yes, let's do it. And then they see the cost it takes to do it. And then they're like, well, whoa, let's pull, where are we at here? So how can we get to a balance? I think it's, sometimes we go from too big of an extreme to the other, and we're all into policy change and banning and so on. And then we suddenly look at how much it will cost, and people are like, oh, whoa, wait, we can't. So can we just bring this in a much more balanced way so that there could be this conversion happening quicker? But I will see the customer, right? How can companies, individual can all build this new technology and work stream, but if the end customer does not buy into it, we will just be left with stranded assets, and definitely with more pollutions and infrastructures than actually doing the way of like being people moving in a more efficient and green way.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe I'll try to take a bit the other side of the balance there. Yes, I mean, I agree with Stacy and Jen. I mean, all three families of players, the countries or regions, individuals and corporates all need to pitch. In the same time, if you look at in these three pockets, you have leaders and obviously you have laggards, and you have now obviously the absence of Russia and China in Glasgow is I think is a big black eye, and definitely. But at the same time, they need to remain in competition. They need to, certainly China more so than Russia. They will need to stay in the race and need to move. And China is certainly doing a lot of things in electrification, but they need to commit a lot more. If you look at corporations, this is a matter of financial performance. If you have leaders, the laggards that need to follow, otherwise they're going to be out of play. If you look at the US, for instance, I'm very happy to see the transformation we've observed over the last 1 or 2 years with GM and more recently Ford, and we're embarking full speed into electrification. We'll see that FCA now Stellantis, which is more of a fast follower, but now they will be forced to follow because if they don't have the right products, they will be left behind. And the same goes in Europe and other continents. If you look at individuals, once you jump in, you don't go back. At home, we have both an electric, both an EV and electric motorcycles, both from California, by the way. And we're all full electric. Once you have embarked, you don't go back. And again, as you see the promising numbers of pre-orders for new vehicles coming in the market, it's encouraging. And obviously, you have people who remain against, but I want to look at the glass half full. And certainly on all three buckets, you have people pulling forward, and it's not sufficient certainly, but definitely going in the right direction with momentum building up.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, I'm glad we entering this initiative, right? So I wanted to focus on the different trends or initiatives to get the industry in the right direction. So Marc again. So I know you work in the vehicle industry. So for you, does electrification for the automotive industry is that the mobility revolution?
Yes, it is. I mean, it's definitely the transformative shift that we need to see, and that is actually happening. What we've seen also over the past 12 months is a major acceleration in electrification rates. I mentioned earlier 10% in Europe so far, for the first 9 months of the year, up from, I think we're at 17% plug-in, whereas we're at 11% for all of 2020. In the US, we're up to 4%, plug-in, and I think 2.5% for electric versus 2.5 plug-in last year. So, and this has a transformative impact on the whole industry, going all the way to mining minerals, but impacting delivery of energy, shifting obviously from gas and diesel to electric, a shift as well in manufacturing with a lot of with major social impact as well within the industrial players. So this is the thing that needs to happen. There's going to be a second wave with an hydrogen-based onboard power generation, basically with fuel cells for different fields, at least initially for different segments of the market. But this is the industrial shift, the strategic shift that is happening, and that transforming the whole industry for the right purpose. Okay,
Stacy, yeah, you wanna add something?
Well, I just it's tough. Personal electric vehicles are a very powerful tool to change. We absolutely need them, especially somewhere like in the United States that is so spread apart. That's just the way we've built it, and it will take a century to get people more concentrated in cities and eschew the suburban, exurban lifestyle that we have built up. So I will not see the end of motor vehicles, but we absolutely do not have enough space for all if we took every car that we have, and we look at the population trends, and we say everyone has a car, we don't fit. We run out of room, and that's a crisis of itself in terms of manufacturing, the waste, etc. It's just, we have to have other ways of moving, and so having cars in the amount that they make sense, not necessarily personally owned, is the way we need to start moving. And then looking towards these collective or individual ways like e-bikes, transit, electrification of our train system in the US, which we are third world when it comes to mass transit in the US. I was very heartened. There will be $66 billion for rail in the infrastructure package. That's more money than Amtrak has seen in I think it's history, pretty much, which will go a long way to help, but is still like we've said, all of these are down payments for what we should be doing. They aren't the full amount, because we have had the deck stacked towards individual motor vehicle transportation for so long. And these are the types of things we need to start changing en masse. Same thing with goods deliveries as well. We have relied upon a system that we're seeing with the supply chain problems around the world, especially here in the US, it's broken. We need to have more intelligent ways of moving goods and people, and energy as well, with renewables and microgrids and all of that. So there's so much work that needs to be done. There's so much opportunity out there. I mean, it's really just mind-blowing. We just need companies and our governments and consumers to embrace them.
Great. Yeah.
No, I mean, like those trends, right? I mean, the EVs, and where can we create the most impact, right? And so converting those high impact fleets, like Stacy mentions, right? The buses, the trains, evolving from ownership to sharing, right? Ride sharing, ride mobility, even secondhand buying and all those, right? I mean, those are what you're starting to see evolving or emerging. Subscription model, right? Mobility as a service is one, and then energy as a service. So those are little things that are happening here and there. And now how can we scale it in a coordinated way so we can have the impact for the future design of how we move, right? Both goods and people.
I think if you can add one more thing, Florent, if you allow me. My answer was very limited to four-wheel vehicles, and definitely agree with both Stacy and Jen. If you look at cargo, last mile delivery, we all know that e-commerce has been booming over the last 18 months, and the shift from cargo van to cargo bikes will have massive impact on emissions. Just because it's a much lighter vehicle, regardless, beyond the fact it's going electric, it's a much lighter vehicle. Congestion, speed of delivery, across all it has benefit across the board. And by the way, also just a bit of commercial here, small commercial. I've been publishing a newsletter on the future of mobility for the past 5 years. And the last article I published last month was about e-cargo bike, the shift to e-cargo bike, and it's deep analysis. So, by the way, just when you go all the way, you'll find the last 60 articles, so 62016 on orsayconsulting.net. Close that. So, but beyond that also, so there's a shift from ICE to electric. There's also a shift from form factor for a large vehicle to small form factor vehicle, 2-3 wheels. There's also a shift from owning to sharing. Sharing asset is much more beneficial, all the way from so a vehicle typically is used for 5% of the time. Why? So why have a vehicle sitting on the garage, on the driveway? So this is a major shift as well, and that must happen in order to reduce the consumption of mining and then recycling the end, and waste and everything goes with it. So this electrification shift to electric, there's a shift in form factor, and the shift in how we use the assets as well.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Very, very interesting indeed. Great. So you mentioned other initiatives than electrification with a little bit of shared mobility, like the concept of owning a vehicle. Um, I actually have a question on that. Since like I would say 2010, we've entered like a subscription model world. So for the mobility industry, we can already see that on the market we have a lot of initiatives from the automotive sector going that way. Like first the leasing a few years ago. Now the possibility of to pay weekly or monthly, like a monthly fee for a car without any contract. So we have those terms like shared mobility, mobility as a service. Or those concepts will end, I would say, the concept of personally owning a vehicle. Stacy, yeah?
Will those things end? It all depends on where you are. In a city, it's absolutely, nuts. I don't know why on earth you would have one, because how often are you able to use one? I mean, that's the way it happened for me. I'd had a car because the first job I had when I moved here there was no transit option. So I had to get a car. Moving from New York City, where I didn't have a car, it was like, okay, well, I guess I have to do this now. And I had it she was almost 17, 15. I can't remember. It's been so long. Anyway, when I let her go, because I was getting more tickets for getting to move for street cleaning than was worth it, because I was riding my bike all the time. I was new to biking. It's only been about 7 years for me. And it's like, so why would I drive if I can bike? And so now why do I have this thing? And even though I'm a mom, it's like, well, I could use my then husband, their dad's car, and that's it. So when I have the kids, I can use that vehicle, but I only do it if I need to. I grew up in a very rural area. There were 2 stoplights in the whole town. There will never be the end of cars in my lifetime, personally owned cars, because it will take so long for the autonomous vehicle fleets to age out and get there, because my thinking is you'll always have the latest, greatest in city centers in terms of autonomous fleet technology, which will negate personal car ownership to a large degree. You will only need it when you are taking those road trips, camping or skiing or whatever that are not available by bus. So yes, the things that you mentioned, all of the sharing type platforms, autonomous fleet technology, that will absolutely eliminate personal car ownership. It will be only the wealthiest people will have it, and they may not even keep it in the city because it will become so unhospitable to drive in the cities, because we will turn over more space to people and bikes and more efficient modes of transport. But as you get to less densely populated areas, it will be a long time before car ownership goes away.
Mm-hmm. Jen, yeah, you wanna add something?
Yeah, well, to add is, as you just need to get to a point where you will be getting as seamless experience with any form of transportations to let go of your individual car ownership. So until we get to that feeling of, I'm not negating my personal experience, I know it's very selfish, but I don't see the end of personal car ownerships. But I'm absolutely with Stacy. I mean, I live in Toronto now, and the vehicle I don't have anymore, because then if I do need to do my longer trip, I do rent, right? Or borrow from a friend. So that urbanization aspect of it, I think the timing will be different for urban versus rural. But human are beasts of freedom, right? They don't want to feel being kept hostage. So as long as we develop technologies and ways and modes of transportations, or whatever they will be called, to allow them to keep going where they need to, I think, we can get off that owner. And you do see it in some countries, right? In Asia, like you do see the diminution of car ownership at the advantage of sharing mobility, and autonomous will indeed transform this ownership principle for sure down the road, though.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Marc.
Yeah, a couple of things to add to both Stacey's and Jen's points. If we look at statistics for younger generations, say 16 to 25, really depending on the country, at what age you can get the license, but what we've seen over the past 10, 15 years is a decrease in a number of European countries, certainly less in the US, a decrease by roughly 1 percentage point annually of the percent of the number of the percent of population of the 18-25 or 16-25 that's getting their license. And this obviously is correlated with, on the one hand, an increased availability of new mobility solutions, especially shared. I'd love to see also more transit, as both said, but new options with Uber and others, and bikes more recently. At the same time, there's obviously the fact that younger generation want to make better use of their money, basically, instead of having it sit on the parking lot. And on the other hand, we have there's a pull effect from new options being made available by some of the players I mentioned earlier. And that means, the OEMs, the car manufacturers, are feeling at risk of not being able to sell the vehicle. So they need to shift the business model from a one-time sale and then lose connection with the buyer to a recurrent revenue model. And this, this is part and parcel of that. I mean, the subscription is part and parcel of that that try to shift from, again, pushing vehicles out and moving to the next one, to remain in touch with the owner and selling complementary services over the life of the vehicle. So
that will, and I think that is absolutely critical for the motor vehicle industry to survive, because, or especially at least the dealership model, because the as we shift to electric, most dealers make their money off of the service of the vehicle rather than the sale of the vehicle. So that that relationship will completely deteriorate, because there is no oil change in an electric car, and because there's so few moving parts, they don't break down as often. So being able to switch out your vehicle if you need a pickup, for a weekend or a week, trip away or something, get that, have the tiny car during the week, and then have the sporty thing on, for the weekend, or, anyway, having a subscription is the only thing that will really keep dealers alive if they don't change.
Right. So Jen, one question for you. You mentioned the autonomous vehicles, of course. Can you tell us a little bit about how it could change the industry, and how do you see that it could change people's lives actually?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm far from being the expert, knowing that this technology has yet to hit my own pragmatic world of living today. However, what I've seen and observed is today, the customer experience remains quite central in capturing this, in with your electric vehicle, even ride sharing, or you still need to put a lot of attention around the amenities around a hubs, right? When you get to that autonomous vehicles, it feels like the world around you becomes less necessary, right? And it's more your interior of you'll be able to do your shopping inside, your entertainment, and it just will, you may be ordering things that will come to the vehicles autonomously with that's what the future may look like. Today, I see autonomous being much more advancing faster in urban areas to move goods in terms of, or even having those corridors, on freight traffic. I think that technology will have a case to be active in the next decades. But in terms of totally moving away, what I observe as a difference is that, there's a lot of things that we will no longer need as customers, individuals, around the experience of fueling, refueling, charging, recharging. So I think we just need to be on the lookout of being very pragmatic and smart as to where we deploy infrastructure today, so that we don't end up with stranded assets and awful level of metals and products, right, all over the place that will no longer be used because of the autonomous that should drive more efficiencies and should drive less needs to charge, at all of those points that we are about and will be deploying in the next decades to help with the transitions from ICE to EVs and those new trends. But that's more my own personal views on how I see autonomy and autonomous impacting. And I think it will be another shock in terms of how we build and design the world we live and move in.
Right. Marc, I know you live on the West Coast. We have a lot of blue lines over there, or blue, roads. Do you see like those infrastructure behind that going nationwide or like worldwide in terms of like those ecosystem that needs to be built around those autonomous vehicles?
Yeah, we certainly see a lot of vehicles being tested on the road, and more recently Waymo deploying a fleet of over 100 vehicles in San Francisco for testing, preparing for commercial activity. Cruise is will still start to operate commercially in San Francisco with that, fully driverless. Waymo will need to remain to keep a driver on board the vehicle. I mean, this is nice, and certainly will. It will take also some time to be deployed because it's city by city. And like Jen, I see more potential short term in moving goods, whether it's in urban settings and certainly with the boost in e-commerce I was referring to earlier. But the other end of the spectrum on freeways, and this is certainly use cases, especially with a shortage of truck drivers. At the same time, back to the urban settings, there is a major risk of increased congestion if this is not done properly, if this is not done proper partnership between cities and operators, whereby if you remove the driver, you drop the cost from say $2.50 to $3 a mile to below $1, maybe 50 cents to $1 per mile. Naturally, if you drop the cost, you see increased demand, and would that mean vehicles circulating in cities empty as ghost vehicles? So therefore increasing congestion because they're going to pick someone for just a couple of 100 meters. So this has to be properly regulated by cities, to increase density, to maintain a rather high level of density on board vehicles. So this is not without risk, bottom line.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. Stacy, yeah, you wanna finish with something?
Oh yeah, this is my whole jam. The whole reason I'm in mobility is because I got hit by a lightning bolt that said renewably powered electric autonomous vehicles are going to change the world. And that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. That was, oh my God, almost 6 years ago now, when it was still a Google self-driving car project and nobody had really heard of Cruise. And I live here in San Francisco, and this guy in my neighborhood was doing this stuff, George Hotz. He's now decamped to San Diego. He runs the Comma system, which is a total renegade DIY kind of thing, but it's good tech. Yeah, so my brain just went like where all this stuff is going. And the thing that and Waymo and Cruise have both deployed, so they are taking real people in their cars. Yes, there is a person still in the Waymo vehicle, but they don't need to be there. I have been biking around these cars, crossing their paths alongside them for, I don't know, 3-4 years now. And I trust them more than every human that operates a vehicle in this city. I don't have any problems with them. They aren't going to hurt me. They aren't going to get mad at me. In fact, they give me the right of way all the time. Like, it is, if we could have our cities full of those, everything would be fine. And I think the thing that is most, will be the most surprising to everyone. I look at these surveys of, would you ride in an autonomous car? Would you give up your car? Whatever. They're laughable because you don't know until it actually happens and you experience it and you see how, yeah, it's weird. There's no one there and it's driving, but it works and it's fine. And it's way better than what all the humans are doing out on the road. The amount of risk it reduces for people in the vehicles, out of the vehicles, the efficiencies that happen. I have no concern, honestly, about traffic congestion or the circulating, because Google Maps is doing this today. If you take Google Maps, it will A and B people. When there is traffic and congestion, it will take people, it may be a minute or two longer, but you'll keep moving and you won't mind because you're still a human driver. As soon as it is, you're the passenger and you've given up like watching every move that this car makes, you're going to be on your phone doing stuff or watching TV or whatever, or working or sleeping. And it won't even matter. As long as you get there in a reasonable amount of time, you're going to be fine. People will drop their cars like hot potatoes as soon as these things are readily available and affordable. And when you see the cost of ownership over time versus using a vehicle like this, I think people are going to switch. Not to mention the fact that the insurance is going to be so costly for doing your own driving. That's the thing that's going to get people out of cars, because why would the insurance companies take the risk when they don't have to? One point that Jen made, I think, about changing the environment is very important. And that is, I am in a war on curbside charging, because it only makes sense when you have a personally owned vehicle that's going to sit parked in street parking on the curb. No way. Every charger should be in a lot, a garage, whatever, that is available for people who live there. And as soon as we have this turnover, then fleets can rent out the space. The autonomous fleets can go to a home base and charge, so they're not causing the congestion like Marc was alluding to. But as soon as our cities are full of cars lining the streets for street parking, we use the vehicles 5% of their life. And so as car ownership goes away, those spaces will go away, or the parking will go away. And so that we should have plenty of room for these cars to pull over and chill out until they have another ride or whatever, or going into these garages that have the chargers and that is their home base. I may be naive, but I'm telling you, I see no downside to these things, and I cannot wait until it is more of a reality, because we just have given up far too much with what the decisions we made starting 113 years ago. So bring it on.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have to move on with the second part of the event. I wish I could spend more time, because we had way more topics. But we have to move on. So very interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Stacy, Jen, Marc, for your insight, your input, and thank you again for accepting my invitation today. And of course, please stay with us for the second part of our event today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. All right, great. So we're going to move on with Drone Deck and Dan. Oops, sorry for that. There we go. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, great. So we have 5 presentations today. So Dan is going to present first. He's the chairman and the CEO of Drone Deck. So we're just gonna wait for him to join. Perfect. Hi Dan, how you doing?
Great, Flo. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you.
Awesome.
Great. So the presentation is here. You can click on the presentation to move it.
I was going to see if we could start with that video that I sent you.
Yes, sure thing. Sure thing.
A quick introductory to let everybody know what we're about and move and help. So when we get into the pitch deck, we can do that.
Definitely. So let's move on with the video.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Flo, for playing that. Appreciate that.
Great. Perfect. So I'm gonna share the presentation now, and you can move the presentation yourself.
Okay. Perfect. Just like to thank everyone for being here today and for the invitation, Flo. Introducing Drone Deck, the next generation mailbox for. I'm sorry. I'm trying to see if I can switch my. I'm on a hard. There we go. I think I got it. Okay. Sorry about that. The next generation mailbox of autonomy and drone delivery. We're solving for multiple issues, including theft of delivered items, damage through delivery, delays in delivery, misships, in-person reception. If you're not there, you don't get it. So it requires another attempt. And then obviously the 8-hour delivery window that exists today. Autonomously, you can deliver 24 hours a day. Okay, here we go. The opportunity, several advantages. Currently, when items are purchased online in the U.S. every day, there's 100 million items purchased. When those items are delivered conventionally, they cost about $2 each. When those same items are delivered autonomously to a drone deck, that cost drops to $1. So every 11 days, there's a $1 billion savings to the shipping economy. We're reducing traffic, reducing accidents, road repairs. We have temperature sensitive delivery. We have a heated and cooled cargo area. So we're solving for that. We say that we're the superior environmental solution because we're taking so many vehicles off the road and increasing efficiency. Every day there's 1.7 million packages stolen in the U.S. and we're disrupting that with safe, secure delivery to our receptacle. There's 91% of those 100 million items that are ordered every day are 5 pounds or less, which makes them drone deliverable. So by and large, the majority of items purchased are drone or autonomous deliverable. So that's a big opportunity. And I'm sorry that I'm not getting quick movement of my slides here, so I apologize for that. DroneDeck in the U.S. Is the first position patent portfolio for autonomous delivery to a mailbox. We received our first patent in 2017. We filed in 2014. We received our second utility patent in 2019. We have 2 more utility patents under examination right now, and we also have 2 PCTs for worldwide patent protection going through as well. We did beat Amazon by 9 days to our first patent. We beat the U.S. Postal Service by 2 weeks and others by less than a month. In all, we have 111 patent claims that we've either been awarded or have filed for. So we've got the strong first position patent portfolio, and we're disrupting the mailbox for the first time since 1858. We have entered into an agreement with Robotic Skies, which is a Boeing-backed company, to provide installation and maintenance services worldwide on DroneDeck units where they exist. Some of the features that we have are listed here. The heated and cooled cargo area. We've got the emergency light alert notifications. We have a heated door to remain operational in any climate. We're also consolidating all delivery to one point. That would include conventional U.S. mail and other conventional delivery, autonomous driverless vehicle delivery, robotic delivery, and aerial drone delivery. We have 5 revenue streams. We have a recurring subscription revenue model. Just $15 a month, you get the DroneDeck and the app. You cannot purchase a DroneDeck. You can only subscribe to it. We know that a big impediment to saturating the market with DroneDeck would be if people had to purchase them. So we defeat that by charging just $15 a month. So that in year 7, with 15% of the market at $15 a month per unit, we'll be doing $9.2 billion in revenue on that revenue stream alone. We have a big data monetization model. When we're built out, we'll be the largest contiguous infrastructure in the U.S. And I'm alluding to the U.S., but we do have plans to go worldwide. We are starting in the U.S. market, though. So through that infrastructure, we'll have great connectivity, and we'll be able to harvest all kinds of big data revenue or big data metrics such as weather patterns, traffic flows, proximity, email addresses. We'll be able to tag and track items as they go through live streaming video. Additionally, if you're a user of DroneDeck and you want to share your data with us through the user agreement, we allow you to do so. We're not taking anyone's privacy. We're asking if you want to share it. If you do, we give you great enhancements like the heated and cooled cargo area, archiving all of your transactional history, the emergency light feature, and in exchange, through the user agreement, we'll know what you buy, when you buy it, how often you get it, whom you get it from, what you pay, age, gender, ethnicity, and pretty much be able to aggregate your whole demographic profile. Amazon knows what they sell you. Walmart knows what they sell you, but nobody will be able to aggregate your profile like DroneDeck because we are the funnel and the conduit to your marketplace. You'll do all your commerce through your DroneDeck app. If you order a Domino's pizza, for instance, we'll allow Domino's to turn on the heat in your DroneDeck to keep your pizza warm. If you order prescription drugs from Walgreens, we'll allow Walgreens to turn on the cooling. And then we'll archive all that transactional history. If you have an item you ever want to send back, you hit the return icon on your app. It populates your last 12 purchases. You select the item you want to send back. It'll notify Amazon. We'll dispatch UPS. The item will be picked up and returned, and you'll get a credit on your phone for the amount of the purchase. Platform access fee. Anytime a shipper or deliverer accesses, sorry about that. I don't know why that switched. Yep. Anytime a shipper or deliverer accesses a DroneDeck, they'll pay a small a la carte fee for that. Charging. Every DroneDeck has a charging station built into it. The biggest impediment to drone delivery is battery life. We defeat that by having a a charging station at every drone deck. So if Amazon lands and takes a charge on your drone deck, you're paying the electric bill. We'll be debiting Amazon. We'll credit you, and we'll take a small transactional fee in the process for that. We're also going to be charging EVs, like Bird and Lime scooters, and other opportunities. And you can see these revenue numbers are all based on year 7. So that's a $288 million revenue line item in year 7. We also have other ancillary revenue streams such as micro weather reporting and other ancillary sensor technology housing that we are identifying right now. The competitive landscape, I always say that Drone Deck is the funnel to the last mile. The drone aspect is the commodity aspect, but all shipping and delivering will start and end at one point, and that's Drone Deck. Drone Deck will be the gateway to every home and business in the U.S., and we're proud to be playing in the same sandboxes, the $1 trillion market cap companies, Amazon, Google, and others. We have a strong leadership team, world-class, coming from several walks of corporate life, commercial real estate, legal, strategy, accounting, management. We've got major exits publicly and privately, and we're very proud of our team. That's gotten us a lot of traction, and we've come very far in a short period of time, so we're really proud of that. We've got several pilot opportunity programs identified currently. The biggest one that we're working on is Lawrence, Indiana. We're based in Lawrence, Indiana, and we've come to an agreement to roll out 4,000 Drone Deck units over the next 2 years in Lawrence, Indiana. We also have several other opportunities that you can see identified on the map that we're working on currently. Our current ask, or aggregate need, I guess you could say, is $150 million. We're offering for 30% equity in the company. That can be one investment, or it could be several investments aggregating that. This is covering our 7-year plan. We're in month 11 of year 1 of our 7-year plan. Our OPEX budget is $150 million over that period, and our CAPEX budget is $2 billion. We're expecting to leverage a senior facility line of credit for the $2 billion CAPEX with the equity capital that we raise. That's Drone Deck. I appreciate everybody listening. We're eager to speak to you if you have any interest, comments, suggestions, and I'm sure Flo can provide you information on how to contact me. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Dan. Great, thank you. And we're going to move on with Johnny. So thank you, Dan, and see you later.
Thank you very much.
Great. So Johnny is going to join us shortly. So Johnny Simkin, he's the co-founder and CEO of Swiftly. And so he's going to present his company.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, perfect, Johnny. How you doing?
Excellent, doing well. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Perfect. You got it. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and I'm really excited to speak.
Johnny, sorry to interrupt you. We cannot see your screen right now.
Oh, can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see your screen now. Just.
All right. I will just keep it in this mode. I won't enter.
Alrighty.
So thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be here today. And my name's Johnny, and I'm one of the 3 co-founders and the CEO at Swiftly. So you've probably been following the transportation market. We just got off a great Q&A session with three amazing folks. And the transportation industry as a whole is evolving faster than ever before. We saw a first wave of massive evolution with Uber and Lyft dating back to 2012 with the invention of the ride-hailing industry. And then Lime, Bird, and others came along, specifically around micromobility, scooters, bikes, and rethought the entire transportation ecosystem around that. And in the future, we'll have Tesla, Waymo, many others providing autonomous vehicles, and probably more disruptions. But throughout this time, there's been very little change to one fundamental mode of transportation that moves over 50 billion people per year, and that's mass transportation. Mass transit today typically relies on technologies and tools that were built over 20 years ago and are not adequate for moving the volume of people that we need it to move. So what we've done at Swiftly is really rebuilt a modern operating system for how to power these mass transit networks and how to do so in ways that are a lot more efficient, reliable, and more communicative with riders. So we have three core product lines. The first is called Transit Time. That is where we generate all of the ETAs and rider-facing information. So if you've ever opened Google Maps or Apple Maps or Bing Maps or Transit or any other mapping application, and it tells you the next bus arrives in 5 minutes and it's real-time information, in the cities that we work with, that data comes from Swiftly. And what we've been able to do using cloud native and modern sophisticated algorithms is increase the accuracy of that information by up to 30%. And when we've deployed this in cities, we've seen up to 20% reduction in passenger calls and complaints. And we've enabled customer service teams at agencies to answer calls about 90% faster than they could before. So that's around rider information with Transit Time. As far as our second product line, it's called Insights. Insights is really the first big data analytics tool for the mass transit market. We analyze billions of records in fractions of a second. And what we've been able to do with this is take projects at agencies or at cities that would typically take months or years, and we can complete them in days to weeks. So instead of spending 6 months gathering data, you run a query within Swiftly. It takes about 500 milliseconds, and you can see what intersection or corridor might be causing a delay, or maybe what specific stops along the route are causing issues. The third product line that we launched at the end of last year is called Metronome, and that is all around real-time operations. So we have a new a mobile app that sits in front of the driver in the vehicle, and it gives real-time feedback for exactly how to perform. And we have a whole suite of dispatch tools for public transit agencies and private operators to better manage their fleet. So since deploying that, we've seen about a 6 to 8% increase in on-time performance and a 30 to 50% decline in vehicles leaving bus stops or train stations early. And if you're a rider and you've ever gotten to the bus stop or train station on time and the vehicle just left, that's the worst possible experience for the rider because you have to wait the maximum amount of time for the next vehicle. So we've been able to reduce those occurrences by about 30 to 50% in all of the agencies where we've deployed Swiftly. So where we are as a company now, we're well capitalized. We raised a large growth equity round at the end of last year. We've now deployed Swiftly in over 100 agencies in 8 countries. In fact, we've partnered with half of the top 15 transit agencies now in the US. We serve about 2 billion transit trips per year across all of our deployments, have about 8,000 agency staff members and operators using our tools to improve service. And we do about 2.5 billion API requests per year, powering the data that goes into Google Maps, Apple Maps, Transit, and the like. So I'm not here actually asking for money. What I would love to know is if any of you are involved in the transportation industry, specifically mass transit or public transit, either as a public sector agency or private operator, I'd love to connect and see how we might be able to work together. So that's my entire presentation today, and thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much, Jenny. Amazing technology. Thank you again for joining. You bet. Bye-bye. Great. So we're going to move on with the next presentation with Marc. So I'm just going to let Marc join me on stage. So Marc Alberstein is the founder and CEO of Simple Night. So while we just wait for him to join, I'm just going to share the presentation.
Hello.
Great. Hey, Marc, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty well, thank you. Marc, you can change the slides on your screen, and the floor is yours.
Do you see the screen moving? Is it moving?
I can move it for you. You can say next. Next. Perfect.
Is it working? Like, is it going through?
No, it's not. It's not. You can tell me to go next.
Oh, here. Now I'll do it here. I got it. There we go. Okay, great. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Thanks, Florian. So Simple Night has built a platform targeting the fragmented landscape of bookability. So currently, booking experiences globally is a fragmented process. It's disorganized, very fragmented booking process, and there's absolutely no personalization. Meaning that in order to buy things both on a day-to-day perspective and kind of in different cities around the world, you have to go to different places, and there's no true one-stop shop brand or infrastructure in place to engage differently. Currently, you'll go to different storefronts. You'll, of course, search on Google, or you'll go to the end provider that you're looking for, and they may have an opportunity for you to book versus picking up the phone or sending an email. We have built a B2B platform that enables brands to have their own bookability directly through their channels, whether through web, mobile, or other touch points. We now enable them with true one-stop shopping capability directly through their brand, which enables ultimately true personalization and data harnessing for their customer base. So now you can go to your own a single brand and book everything through one place, whether through web, mobile, or another touch point. How it works is we're connecting to the different point of sale, reservation, inventory management systems behind the scenes. And we also have a cloud-based supply manager that can host inventory SKUs directly on our platform. We are now in over 30 categories globally and expanding beyond 3,000 cities across 190 countries. We have well over 2 million products connected to the system and growing. We have different components and modules to our platform. And we take all of this content that we've aggregated and continue to aggregate, and we layer it in with large demand partners, some of the biggest brands in the world that are able to utilize our white label or API capabilities so that their brand now becomes the one-stop shop for their audience. Some examples include search, where we're a very strategic partner of Google, airlines, where we're working with airlines like United Airlines, one of the largest in the world, as well as the connected car environment, where Jaguar Land Rover is an investor of ours. We've completed some successful integrations into Range Rover and Jaguar vehicles, and we continue to build on the opportunity. In terms of customer base, additionally, there's different OEMs, tier one manufacturers, governments, travel, hospitality businesses, and even other enterprises that are licensing or partnering with our software. The market is pretty substantial. If you look at kind of just travel alone, you're looking at roughly 1.7 trillion. The connected passenger economy, as we like to call it, is just around 300 billion. And that engages with the audience as they're sitting in a car, eventually a self-driving car, and how they're going to be engaging with the city around them. Simple Night provides that footprint and infrastructure where now all of the content in that city, product and service-wise, can be connected at their fingertips to book and personalized. Our business model is licensing and transaction fee related. We'll take a revenue share off of a large enough customer as well, but predominantly we are charging a software as a service model and recurring business partnerships with our contracts. Our team has an extensive background in building infrastructure, connected systems from travel, automotive, financial systems. And we, from a history perspective, have been in the business for over 3 decades. Industry landscape, some of the other companies we're referring to, companies like Google and Amazon and some of these kind of the multi-trillion-dollar organizations. There's some of the other entities down below, like an Amex or an Expedia or a TripAdvisor, Ticketmaster, that are working on aggregating content, so to speak, in one way or the other. Their footprints are pretty one-dimensional in terms of not being able to offer true single settlement, the amount of categories they offer, the true capabilities to be able to offer things, not just a hotel, but things like ordering coffee, paying for parking and gas, booking a restaurant reservation. We're able to do that all, whereas most of the companies on this page are limited. That's it for me. If there's any questions, I'm happy to engage. We're doing tons of connected level partnerships and growing, and appreciate the time.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark. And yeah, thank you for joining, and see you soon. Thanks. Great. So we're going to move on with our fourth presenter out of 5, which is Timothy Bean. So while we wait for Timothy to join, so Timothy Bean is the CEO of Fortem Technologies. So Tim. Tim, let me know if you have any issues in the question section of Livestorm, and I can help you after. So we're going to move on with hold on. Yes, Timothy. Yeah, I think Timothy has some technical issues. I'm just going to wait a second. All right, so we're going to move on with Ryan McManus, founder and CEO of Share Mobility. Timothy, I'm going to come back on you after. So Ryan, yes, you can share your screen. At the bottom of your screen, you have a little button share, and you can share your screen.
Great.
So
can you see me okay?
Yes, I can see you perfectly. So Ryan McManus, just to introduce you, you're the founder and CEO of Share Mobility.
It's giving me a invite to participate prompt, and I'm stuck in a loop where it's asking me to update my device settings, and it's not allowing me to share.
Okay, great. So let me share my screen really quickly. All right, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. The floor is yours. Just tell me next.
Great. Well, thanks for the opportunity to come here today. My name is Ryan McManus. I'm the founder and CEO at Share Mobility. We are a mobility as a service company focused on helping the enterprise get their employees to share and change the way they commute. When I started the company, I wanted to look at building a business to help those who today were always passengers. And we're working on getting mobility to people today that can't afford transportation. And globally, only 1 in 7 people have access to a car. In the United States, it's 6 out of 7. But for minorities in many communities, car ownership is not a reality for their household. And transportation is a known barrier to employment. And if you're not on the bus line, you're not able to offer your employees what we have in the United States, which is the commuter pass benefit, which allows bus passes to be bought pre-tax. But because of transit access, which is limited, 86% of companies don't offer their employees any help with commuting. And this leads to open jobs, an unreliable workforce. And companies are now understanding how these unfilled jobs are equating to lost revenue. And it's one of the biggest problems companies, specifically manufacturing and logistics companies, are having in the United States. Go to the next slide for me. Our solution is to treat the commute as an employee benefit and get the employer to subsidize and introduce share mobility to their employees. And when companies introduce share mobility, they're able to fill their jobs faster and retain their workforce. Most of our customers fill 100% of their open jobs within 30 days of being able to offer transportation as an employee benefit. This ensures that their employees not only get there on time, but they don't have turnover related to transportation. And we've designed this service to work in any location, urban or rural. And the most frequent use case we have is a workforce coming from the city, going to jobs in rural areas. Think your Amazon distribution centers, logistics companies, manufacturers. Many of these businesses are located outside of the city, and there isn't a local workforce to fill all of the demand for jobs today. Next slide for me. The reason share mobility is focused on the commute is because it's a huge part of overall the personal transportation market. And as we look at the automotive industry turning over the next decade, the commute is up for grabs. And with employees changing jobs at a faster rate than ever, there's an opportunity to help them make a different decision about commuting and doing it through the employer. We value the market for enterprise mobility as a service at $26 billion today. Go to the next slide, and that's just in the US. We've developed a software platform for enterprise companies that concludes all of the software applications for riders and drivers and professional fleet operators. Unlike the ride-sharing companies that are using individual drivers that are 1099 bringing their own vehicle, all of the drivers are W-2 employees and all of the vehicles are fleet-owned. We give businesses the ability to set up their own transportation program. The application automatically creates virtual bus stops based on where employees live. And one of the main differentiators of share mobility is that all the rides get booked in advance. Within 2 minutes, an employee can book an entire month of commuting in the app and know exactly when they're going to get to work. We aggregate all of this demand and provide it to the operators in advance. For our customers, which are the businesses, it is a turnkey solution. They buy in units of hours, and we deliver through an asset-free model where we are the software and we're partnering with companies that have the vehicles and drivers. It's very similar to Amazon's DSP model, and we're helping local transportation companies elevate their quality of service and serve a new enterprise customer base. Companies are choosing us because we're able to replicate the service across the country. You can skip the next schematic slide, and you can probably just skip through some of the next product slides that show the dashboard we give to companies and what the operators use. And I want to focus on how we create value for the companies. And this is an example of an automotive parts manufacturer that had 20 unfilled jobs. It was about 10% of their overall workforce. When we started working with them, they were losing over $200,000 a month in lost revenue because of these unfilled jobs. Within 2 weeks, they filled all of these jobs by adding 2 routes. It cost them a little over $11,000 a month. Within 6 months, we had expanded that program to 3 shifts, moving 60 employees to and from work every day, helping them capture an additional $600,000 in revenue and giving them a 34 times return. So the businesses see huge value when they look at transportation as an employee benefit that's going to fill jobs, allow them to capture revenue. We're able to have economies of scale for the business, and you can see that it didn't triple their costs to triple the amount of service. This is because the businesses pay for deadhead time. And so when doing a 3-shift schedule, the vehicles are constantly occupied and it's the most efficient for the business. And we have very high retention because the companies can't eliminate this service or they risk losing all of their employees that rely on it. These are not employees that are choosing this over their own car. These are employees that could not take this job if they did not have the share mobility service. On to the next slide. Many companies have tried to get businesses to buy into mobility, but not many have been successful. We're having success because of the way that we use the company's own data to help them understand the cost of their employees' current commutes and how adding transportation can help them recruit in different areas. The thing I'll draw to your attention to on this map is that blue areas are affluent. That's where the company is located. And we create routes that string together the red areas. This is where individuals live that can take a $15 an hour job. But transit does not connect all of these areas to the job center. This problem exists across the world. We're hyper-focused on doing it in the United States. We see global expansion in the next few years. But we could turn this on for any business in any part of the world because we're able to do it through our software. And then the last slide is about the cost of commuting. We're helping employers give their employees a raise by utilizing transportation as an employee benefit. And on a daily basis, the individuals are saving about $17 on average. for an individual earning $15 an hour, this can equate to somewhere like a 30% increase in income, and it's hugely impactful. We are in the middle of a fundraise. I am in the process of raising a Series A, interested in meeting with investors that have a focus in mobility or human or HR or future of work, as well as impact investors. We've raised $7 million to date. We're at $3 million ARR. We're growing 20% month over month, and we have an additional $2 million of contracted business that we're turning on from now through the end of the year. And we have an $18 million pipeline of some of the biggest companies in the world. COVID didn't cause the problem we're solving. It just made it worse. And the need to fill jobs has become companies' biggest problem, and we're their solution. So thanks for the opportunity to come here and talk to you about shared mobility.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much, Ryan. Great, and see you soon. Great. So we're going to try and see if Timothy can connect. Timothy, if you can join. Perfect. Right. Great, Timothy. Great. So you have a button at the bottom saying share, and you can share your screen. Just let me know if that's working.
Yeah.
Perfect. So just a presentation. Timothy Bean is the CEO of Fortem Technologies. So yeah.
We will start. It's good to be with you. Hey, with all this automation and mobility that's happening, there's security issues. And there's security issues happening today with dangerous drones. You may have heard of many explosions. So we protect the world's venues, campuses, entire metro regions from dangerous drones. So autonomous drones that are not behaving properly. This is a video. You can see a drone tickle this oil refinery in the upper left, causing lots of damage and harm. So we stop that from happening. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, perfect.
So we're 100 people, mission driven. We're a deep technology company, one of the most innovative companies in the world, located here in Utah. We have offices in Washington, D.C., Abu Dhabi, and Tokyo. We have a flight facility in Utah. You can come see our product in action. We started our work with DARPA and have moved into commercial markets throughout the world. We're deployed today on 5 continents. Our largest customers started with the U.S. Department of Defense. Our investors include Mubadala, the sovereign fund in the UAE. Boeing did a due diligence on us, 50 people for a year, chose our technology. We like to say that Boeing validated our technology. And then just a few months ago, Toshiba took a significant investment in us. We like to say that Toshiba validated our market. We have 90 customers using our system today to protect their stadiums at the world's largest sporting events, largest political events, outdoor rallies, these types of things. Our system is used by police, defense, and commercial entities to protect their people. We're backed by a number of board members and advisors, different generals in the U.S. Army. Bruce Lemkin, former Undersecretary of the Air Force, Julius Genachowski, former FCC chairman in the U.S., a great group of people backing Fortem and helping us succeed. What we do is we figure out how, using AI techniques, if a drone is a criminal or a terrorist threat. We focus in on preventing any criminal or terrorist behavior at your venue, whether it's an oil field, a significant government building, or a stadium, or throughout a city. Our system is also portable for one-time events. The system is comprised of 3 parts. We detect everything that's happening in the airspace. We can assess with our real-time AI-driven threat assessment if something is a threat or not, with optical other sensor integration to understand everything in the airspace. And then our claim to fame is our drone hunter. This is an autonomous flying robot, all electric, battery powered. We have a hangar where it's stored. It patrols the airspace and removes anything that's dangerous or non-compliant from the airspace very safely in a city environment. This drone hunter is different than a missile that you would buy from the military or guns in cities, where it flies quietly through the city, patrolling the city for any aircraft that's flying out of bounds. So any, cities are gonna have ordinances of where drones can fly and no-fly zones. We patrol those no-fly zones. We patrol those areas to make sure that drones do not enter and cause harm. I'll share a short video on the drone hunter.
Target is large fixed-wing UAV. Defense mode activated. Drop net selected. Drone hunter. Go hunting.
Like the drone surge, imagine how far they would go, like small
ISIS deployed on the battlefield to Iraq and Syria to drop explosives on U.S.-led forces. Lower than what air defense systems are used to look
So the drone hunter that I showed you is completely autonomous. There's no human that flies that. It is cued by ground radar, which we provide. We have tiny little sensors that we put throughout your stadium, throughout your hundreds throughout, a dozen throughout your stadium, 100 throughout a campus. These little 2-pound sensors, 1,000 throughout a city. We understand everything that's going on in the airspace. Every drone deck delivery, every Walmart delivery, every Amazon delivery in an urban environment, we see it all with our radar, and we can see what's not being compliant through the orchestrated rules of the road, if you speak, and we remove that. We secure these stadiums, these venues, these cities from dangerous drones attack. We have a hangar that looks like an air conditioning unit that populates on top of a building, and the drone hunter explodes out of that like a missile. It's radar guided. This works day and night. We can fly out to 3 miles and capture a drone. Very effective, safe, urban drone security system. Why are we winning? 2 or 3 years ago, if you wanted to protect yourself from a drone, you would put up an antenna, and you would listen for the drone with the antenna. And if your antenna heard the drone, the joystick, the communication between the joystick and the drone, you'd press the red button and jam it and tell the drone to go home. Well, drones now are flying beyond visual line of sight. They're now flying autonomously. They're just listening to GPS, flying on waypoints. They are not emitting any RF signal. So they fly right over that RF antenna, radio frequency antenna. They are stealth. They're dark drones. Traditional radar is too big, too dangerous in a city environment. It doesn't see through buildings, these types of things. So we have the small, tiny radar to see everything. We see these autonomous threats, and we have a very safe mitigation to stop it from happening. Shooting your guns not going to work at a drone, especially in a urban city. Thanks a lot for your time.
Great, thank you. So apparently some of you couldn't see the presentation, some of you could. So I'll make sure to share the presentation with the video at the end of this event. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you so much for joining.
Yep.
Great. So we're going to end this presentation. Before we end, I just wanted to share the schedule for our next event, which will be on December 8th around logistics. So thank you again to all the presenters. I hope to see you soon. If you have any question, you can reach out to me either on LinkedIn or email. And thank you again, everyone, for coming by, and have a great rest of your day. Until next time.